This is a data management training video for the OPERA trial. It's intended for viewing by people with the following roles: principal investigator, another medical professional, a research nurse, a data manager, a trial coordinator, or a research associate. Data management in the OPERA trial, that is randomization, data capture, and also management of the trial medication allocations, is managed within the sealed envelope platform, which is generally known as RedPill. You can see on the screen now the web address that's used to access the user accounts within RedPill. Each user account is secure to an individual. You are issued a user account upon Newcastle Clinical Trials Unit receiving a completed delegation log and training details. When the invitation to create an account comes, it will come direct from sealed envelope. This can occasionally go to junk or spam folders, so if you are expecting an invitation to a role within the system and you don't receive one, please first of all check your junk folders before contacting Newcastle Clinical Trials Unit. Each account is specific to a role, so in this trial we have randomization, unblinding, and an investigator, which is used for site data entry. You will only need one username and one password to access the system, but in order to perform the functions of each individual role, you will need to log out of one role and log back in as the other. Please don't share your login details. This would be a violation of GCP. In addition to this training video, other training support is available, additional training support for new staff members on request. A test randomization or unblinding or data entry must be performed by the users to gain access to the live database. So first of all, you will be given access to a training database and you will perform a brief test based upon the role that you perform within the system. Once Newcastle Clinical Trials Unit has received evidence of that test, you will then be sent an invitation to join the live database. Additional support is available through the comprehensive OPERA user guide, which is a separate document, a PDF document. And there is also a generic help function within the RedPill system itself, which is accessed from the main menu at the top of the browser screen. The contacts for data management within Newcastle Clinical Trial Unit are the data managers. So for this trial, that is currently Chris Wheatman and Rebecca Summerly-Wather. Please initially contact the team via the OPERA trial team inbox, which is opera@newcastle.ac.uk. If you have an issue which is technical and you require a more immediate response, you can also contact the database support mailbox for issues such as unable to log in or error messages or something technical in nature, and that address is nctu.database.support@ncl.ac.uk. To randomise a participant, once a participant has been added to the database by an investigator role, a few pieces of information need to be entered first in order to indicate that the participant is eligible before proceeding to randomisation. The screening log should have already been completed as part of the Add a New Participant process. The next visit to open up is a screening visit, and there are three forms: visit date, pre-treatment URS, and informed consent. I'm going to add a visit date. And give an indication of whether blood samples were taken on the day of the screening visit. If we say no, it will request the actual date that the blood samples were taken and a reason why any bloods were not taken at the screening visit. So for simplicity, we're just going to say yes and save the form. There's a banner at the top of the screen to indicate the form was saved, and it moves into a review mode where you can look at the details that have just been entered. At the top of the screen, new options have appeared. We can return to the participant. We can add the pre-treatment URS, which is the next form in the chronological order, or we can jump to another form of our choosing. So we'll go straight to the next form, which is the pre-treatment URS. This form has been viewed before and some data has been entered. Because some data has already been entered into this form but not actually saved, you get a message that asks whether you want to load the draft or ignore the draft and enter completely from scratch. So we're going to ignore the existing information and enter from blank. Any information that was previously entered into this form has now been deleted. So we're going to enter a date for the pre-treatment URS. And we're also going to enter, for the sake of demonstration, some completely false information. This is just to get us to the next stage of the process. You can see there are notes below each question, which indicate that the total number of digits that will be accepted. There are also asterisks after each question indicating that these are mandatory values. If we leave one of these blank, we'll see what happens when we miss these out. Continue entering false information. So now we need a number for the interval, which is 2 decimal places. So we'll go for 0.50 and we'll enter an age of 30 years old and click Save the form. Now because we left one blank, we have to either provide a justification for not entering a value here, or we need to enter a value. We'll enter a justification. There are some preset values along the bottom. If you click on one, for example, not done, it will then pre-populate the answer in the question. But if you ever have to do this in the live trial, it is helpful if you could enter as much information as possible about reasons why tests aren't done, and it saves a lot of queries and a lot of work later on. We're going to stick with not done for now because this is a dummy participant just for demonstration purposes, so we don't have any more details. Now that that form is complete, we can go to the next form in the order, which was informed consent. This is the last form that we'll have to fill out in order to activate randomization. The first question we are faced with is whether the patient information sheet was given. We're going to say yes. The version will say it was version 1, and the date will say it was the 1st of this month. In the live trial, this information would be available in the form itself, but this is just false information for demonstration purposes. So the next question, is the full date the PIS was given known? So it's whether you know the days, the months and the years, or whether you just know the month. So we're going to say we know the full date. And we're going to say it was yesterday. Did the patient consent? If you say no, you'll be asked to give reasons and you won't be allowed to proceed to say that the patient was eligible. So we're going to say yes. We're going to say the date of written consent was the day after they were given the PIS. And then we're given the opportunity to provide information about optional consents. So we're just going to say yes to all of those. In real life, this data will be taken from the form itself. Is the patient eligible? We're going to say yes because we want to activate randomization and save the form. So that has opened up more forms which are now listed. We're not going to go through to complete those forms at this stage. The test user that we're using is called Freya McDonald. She's currently logged in as an investigator. You can't randomise using an investigator role, so Freya needs to switch roles in order to randomise the participant. So we're going to go to trials rather than log out. At the moment, Freya only has an investigator role because she has an invitation to a randomisation role, but she hasn't yet accepted it. So we're going to click on You Have an Invitation at the top. And she has two current invitations, one for randomisation and one for unblinding. So we're going to accept the randomisation role and then go back to the trial screen. So whereas Freya once just only had an investigator role, she now also has a randomisation role with two separate buttons in order to access each one. We're going to click on Access with Role Randomisation. This takes us to the home screen that you see every time you log in to the Opera database. Click on Participants. You need to find the participant that you wish to randomise in the list. In this case, it is the false participant LON777. You'll see that because the appropriate forms have been filled out and the participant was found to be eligible, the randomisation form has activated. In order to create a new randomisation, we need to click Add. There's an indication at the top of the form that completing this form will randomise the participant, and it will allocate kits of trial medication to this participant. So the first section is the eligibility confirmation. This will be the same date that you entered on the informed consent form for eligibility. The name of the person you would have in real life. We're just going to write test for the purposes of this demonstration. We're going to confirm the person who is confirming eligibility is delegated to do so. We're going to say yes. Then we need to mark for each inclusion criteria that the participant was eligible. So we're going to say yes for the inclusion and no for the exclusion, and then click randomize. When you click the randomize button, the randomization won't happen at that point. You'll be asked to review all of the information that you've already entered because it can't be undone once the randomization has taken place. Review the information and then re-enter your password, which is going to be Freya's password for this demonstration. And confirm. When you click the confirm button, as long as all the information is correct, the randomization will take place and the kits will be allocated. You get the success indicator on the screen and it will tell you the kit that was randomized to the participant, which in this case is YH5. These are the codes that are used to write on prescriptions to request the kit for the participant. As with all other forms, you get a chance to review the form before you go back to the participant screen. Assigning kits must be done by somebody with a randomization role. You start by looking up the participant that you want to assign kits to. In this case, this is the test participant LON777. Click on that participant in the list, and the right-hand panel will open up for that participant. Any kits already assigned will be indicated in the kits section of the participants panel. In this case, the only kits that have been assigned to this participant were at randomization, and they're indicated as YH5. In order to assign further kits to the participant, we click on the Assign Kits list link. This takes us to the Assign Kits screen. In this trial, the one kit is dispensed at randomization, but then at visit 4, when the participant requires more kits, we have to enter the dose that the participant requires, and then the system will indicate how many kits should be given. It will be 2 kits for 5 milligrams, 2 kit codes. It will be 3 kit codes for 10 milligrams. So we choose the visit. We have a choice between visit 4 or ad hoc. Ad hoc is an emergency dispensing functionality and should only be used if absolutely necessary. So in most cases we will choose visit 4, which is the next dispensing after randomization. The next question that appears requests the dose that the participant will be receiving, which will either be 5 milligrams or 10 milligrams. After that is indicated, all we need to do is enter the password and press the confirm button to continue. In this case we are using a test user, so this will be the test user Freya McDonald, and it'll be her password. In real life, of course, it will be your own. And confirm. And you get a banner at the top of the screen indicating that the kits were assigned and what the kit codes were. The kit codes can be used to enter any prescriptions that are required. The system itself does not produce prescriptions. All that the system will do is send out notification emails. So on the one at randomization there will be a kit code indicated on there, and now that we've assigned kits there will be a further email sent out to all the people at the same site that have the relevant role. That will indicate the kit codes that have been assigned to this participant. If you've turned off notifications for your account, you will not receive these notifications. If you need to receive these notifications, you'll need to keep all notifications turned on. If you have any further questions, you can direct these to the Opera trial mailbox, opera@newcastle.ac.uk.